What is happening, Honey Badger Nation, man? Thank you guys jumping in with us to another episode of One Big Fire. You get the boys today, and we're all a little fired up. So I'm excited to jump in. Definitely a few things. I voiced a few things on my run this morning that I wanted to throw at y'all. So excited to jump in with that. And before we kick off, I mean, it's the first of the month, right? You got From the Land talking about the first of the month. We are locked in. We do have our date set for your 10th annual Rock the Spectrum, which allows us to bring agent to CEO back to the land in September. I am excited. I was ready to do it again when we wrapped up last year. And honestly, guys, I still feel, looking back, reflecting over the last 20 years, we ain't never done a better event than Agent to CEO. I'll just put it out there. We checked all the boxes: the venue, the experience, the in the room, the conversation, the cast of characters, the information, just everything was like world class. And I'm super excited to be able to jump back in and see how we can top it and we can add a little more to that. So Agent to CEO, CLE, be able to get there, start. Tickets aren't even available yet. So if you're thinking about coming, you can message any of us. We'll make sure to get you guys on the list as soon as tickets open up, that you guys can grab those, because there is only about 105 tickets. I'm going to stretch it, maybe 110 that we could actually allow into the room. So they will go super fast. Plus the event that evening, Rock the Spectrum.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So mark your calendars for the 24th and 25th of September. If you're coming in from out of town, you're going to want to fly in the 23rd. And we're going to we have a room block I think we got about 30 rooms, which I'm excited about, because it's that hotel that's literally walking distance right to the venue. We are switching it up this year a little bit. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have pre-sale tickets going on Monday. Okay. So the page is literally being built. We're also going to have something different this year. 20 of the tickets. We're selling 100 tickets. 20 of those 100 tickets are going to be VIP, meaning you're going to have selective seating closer to the stage. And you're also going to have access to our VIP bar that's next to the venue called I Hate Cowboys, where we're going to have private. There's a closer bar so you can get drinks quicker, bathrooms quicker, all that stuff for the concert. And we're also going to have some private shows being played by some of our artists, which has not been announced yet, but we got Dustin Black. We'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Dusty's coming back, but he's bringing some friends from Nashville, and it's going to be, the names that you see on this are going to be they're head turners, and they're going to be. Let me just put it this way, boys. This one this year, it's for the ladies. This one's for the ladies. The ladies are not going to be disappointed at the lineup we have for them this year. So make sure you grab your ticket. We will start posting things. Go to honeybadgernation.com, by the way. Get yourself some merch, because we got the new merch, the legacy merch. I don't know if you can see that, but look at, he got the Badger merch.
Yeah, baby.
Get yourself some merch, because this was dropped. And man, we have new merch coming even after this. It's going to be around the future is So this right here, we got nice. Some co-sponsorship merch coming next. But for right now, we have our legacy brand. We are here. At least I feel like where we're at with our journey and where we're at in the pinpoint in our journey is we're in the legacy side of things. We're creating things that are going to be multi-generational and benefit our family and our kids' and so we thought that it would be appropriate to put some merch out that reflected where we were at in our journey and what we're trying to do. So
love it. Hey, one other thing I want to touch on before we jump into today's topics, go nominate Honey Badger of the Month. Like I said, it's the first of the month, so we're going to tally up from June so we can announce our Honey Badger of the Month. And then also get the nominations in for this month. So you guys can go to honeybadgernation.com, not only get your swag, but go nominate the Honey Badger of the month. And also, like I said, click out the link, click the links there for the event for upcoming Rock the Spectrum and Agent to CEO. So tickets will go, pre-sale tickets will go on sale Monday, and holy smokes, they will go fast.
Yep. I'm
Cool.
excited, guys. Yeah, so we hit a couple of our topics. So we are going to talk about the big commission lie. Obviously, last year, this time, the dust was starting to settle from the big lawsuit, the NAR settlement that got settled with not just NAR, but the largest real estate brokers in the U.S. We all thought that, well, I wouldn't say that we thought that the sky was going to fall, but there were definitely agents that thought that the sky was going to fall. The cool thing is we've been coaching and teaching this through the program that Jay and Michael and you wrote, John, called the CHSA, the Certified Home Selling Advisor course. So we're going to dig into the big commission lie. We were all lied to. Now we saw through the lie, but look, people read headlines, and guess what? If it's on Facebook, they believe them. So we're going to straighten out what that lie looks like. New York City. Our agents in New York City are just their phones are blowing up right now, man. Like with this new potential for a new mayor that is a straight up communist mayor. People are calling their real estate agents. They're listing their properties, and guess where they're moving, guys?
They're moving south.
They're moving south. So they're exiting the city. And so our Florida agents and our Texas agents are like, come on down. So yeah, like, it's really interesting. And we were kind of talking about this. And I want to get into the big commission lie, but since we're talking about this new potential mayor for New York City and what he's talking about doing and stuff like that, what we started talking about before we went live today is the whole thing of tribalism. And I know that there were some people, I was listening to some podcasts about, it wasn't even probably a podcast. I think it was just like some memes that or some shorts that people were putting out about how tribalism isn't good. I love tribalism. Personally, I want to be around people that are my tribe. And the older I get, the more I want to only be around people that are part of my tribe. Said differently is our community. And what do communities share? Core values. So, what we're starting to see is this migration on a national level, that people are migrating away from states where their core values just don't align, with the core values of maybe the government leadership or the majority of people. Certainly in New York City, we know that's true. So what you guys thinking? I know you guys are, we're kind of from all over the spectrum at this point, from Oklahoma to Dallas to Cleveland. Yeah.
To your point about the tribal side of things, we've been talking about it for a little over a year, and then just for those of us kind of in the event side of things in space, talking with Alex a little bit about kind of what they're doing, but also seeing across the country, is that one, events is extremely hard. The large events is extremely hard to get butts in seats. And just hearing from those that are often hit for sponsorships and having to change up the sponsorship game because they're promised one thing, hey, we're going to have 1,000 people, and they get there and there's 320. And so it's really, really hard to get butts in seats. However, people are gravitating to smaller events. They want to get together because why? Because of all the noise online, people don't trust anything what they see. They want to get in person. They want to touch, feel, hear. And so like what we're doing with Agent to CEO, 100 people, like people want to be there. That is tribe. That's the type of events that you're going to see moving into the future. And I think that's probably a little bit on the large side. I think the 30 to 50 to where you can actually connect. So just coming out of KT last week, that was the feedback, right, in the room. And everybody in the room goes to so many massive events. And they're like, listen, we want the smaller events to where we can connect and really be authentic, right? So go back to the definition of trust, which is just authenticity times time. People want to be around people and they want to build communities. They want to build trust. So I 1000% believe that's the direction it's going to go. I know you're talking about it on national value scale, and we're starting to see migrations in communities and cities. But it cascades all the way down to even what we're trying to do on a local level with your community. So community has to be one of the cornerstones of your foundation, and it's going to be a tight community where people can actually connect. So that tribal mentality is spot on, Al.
100%. Dude, I just got off a call with Rick Dillon, and I'll leave the other gentleman's name out because he's about to leave his brokerage and join our community. But people want to be around people that are like themselves. And there was a study I saw just the other day. It might have been a TikTok wormhole, but it was talking about the percentage of increase you get when you're around people playing at a high level. It's actually a smaller increase than when you put that same person in the room. And this reminds me, John, of back in the day when we had the whole room upstairs filled with cubicles, and we had people making calls, and we had agents that wouldn't make the calls, but everyone leveled up because everyone was making the calls and everyone was playing at a higher level. But if you put that same person in a group of people that aren't doing anything, it's an actually bigger dip you get by being around people that are playing at a low level. You play at a much lower level. I thought that was interesting. But people want to be around people that are, if you're a producer, if you're an A player, if you're positive, all of the things that are core to our nature, who we are, and being successful and what it takes, you want to be around people that are like that. And I think it's hard to do that in bigger groups. It's easier to do it in smaller groups, but certainly I don't want to spend, I'll tell you this. I've never recruited someone to EXP that I didn't want to be in business with. Yeah. I let them off the hook and I let them swim away, and I don't ever follow up. And so it's cool to be able to build communities like that here, but there's no doubt that's where everything has moved to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. It's so key.
That's just genuine. That's being genuine. And without saying any names, we just had an experience of exactly what you were talking about. Like, we both had an experience with a certain individual that get us on the phone, literally suck the energy out of us for 60 minutes and not get anything done. A nice guy, by the way. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. Like, you got to listen to your soul.
I'd rather put a bullet in I'd rather get whipped with a car antenna.
Couldn't do it. I mean, I wanted to do it, but I knew deep down, like deep in my soul, that we weren't a fit, and that's okay. And I think the thing that, I'm not saying that we've done this because we really never have, but what I've seen other people do is that, they're trying to do events and they're trying to be everything to everybody. And when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody. And it really boils down to, like, polarization is okay. Not in a disrespectful way by any means, but it means that you believe within your core and you're not afraid to communicate those beliefs of what's in your core. And when you're able to do that with confidence, you will attract your tribe. And I think that the three of you guys, like, when I met you guys, I didn't know you from Adam. I've never heard of you in 2010. I knew Coach Cliff because he was my coach, party organ, but I didn't know you guys. And it wasn't until I actually got into that environment where everything changed, because I was, like, introduced to people that were just thinking at such a high level, like a higher level than more than me. You guys, or Mike Reese always talks about the fish analogy. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned it last week too. Mm-hmm. Is that a fish only knows what's below the surface of the water. The fish doesn't understand that there's what's going on up there, because their world is below sea level. It's under the water, under the sea. And I feel like, for me personally, before I met you guys, before I went to my first EGS, I was that fish below the water, didn't even understand what was going on up above here, where there's, like, oxygen and life and things going on that are, way beyond that. Yeah. So, find your tribe, man. And or maybe it'll find you. Yeah.
You kind of said something right there, and it was one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys, and we can come full circle with the Sir Hunt comment and opportunity. But Joel Perso took us through the story brand process at KT last week, because when he was kind of breaking it down and explaining it to me, it's really business model, right? We all understand story brand, right? we're not the hero, right? We're the guide, and we're helping the story. We're helping the hero in the story because we have a plan, and we're allowing them to go through it. But it's also when you go through the framework, right, you got to create the call to action, and you have to show them what life is if they execute your plan, which is also the Hormozis value. They have a pain, you have a plan, and you have proof, and the value is greater because they're going to save time and less effort and less sacrifice. But the thing that really stuck with me was, and to your point, right, when you try to be something to everybody, but to the point was, that person has a problem, right? And what Joel emphasized, and he said that the really takeaway that you've got to nail, and this goes back to business model, is that if you own a problem, you own the market. If you own a problem, you own the market. And so be that thing. What is the one thing that problem that you are known for, right? It's what he said, right? And that's what Miller says in StoryBrand. He's like, you're going to be known for something. What are you known for? And when you're known for solving a particular problem, then you can own the problem. Then you can own the market. But when you try to be known for everything and known for solving all problems, then you don't own any markets. And it was just a great freaking reminder. It's like, listen, and where we're going, the direction and the things that are moving. And this is what I want to tee up with you guys. So I had Eric Post from Whoosy did a session for us at KT last week. And Jay, I don't know if you've had a chance to read, because when we had Kindle on, I didn't have a Clayton Mask moment where he told us for a year and a half to read The Advantage. So when I was in Seattle with Glenn and Kendall at the rally, Kendall told me, because I picked up on Glenn real fast and where his head is with AI, and Kendall is too. So all of leadership is the same way. And she goes, dude, you got to read this book. I'm like, tell me which book. And she said, the AI driven leader. And I'm like, holy fuck. It changed. Like, if y'all have not read this book, and I know you guys have, but I'm telling everybody else out there, if y'all have not read the AI driven leader, you better read it. And so I
just started it.
Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Audio. Yeah.
And so Eric made a point. He goes, listen, and I thought I knew the answer. And he goes, what is the number one customer complaint right now from buyers and sellers, investors, builders? What is the number one complaint? What have we always said? We always said it's communication is the number one complaint. He goes, yeah, maybe a year or two ago. He said, but you know, the number one customer complaint is they believe they know more than their agent. Buyers and sellers believe they know more than their agent. And this is the thing that we were talking about, Al. I'm not worried about, like, from an agent perspective, you know, we hear the gurus in the real estate AI space saying, oh, you know, if you don't have AI, right, you're not going to get, but the agent that doesn't. What I'm worried about is, where do we have to go? Who do we have to become to where we're out ahead of the AI driven consumer? So as real estate agents, who do we have to become in there? So my question to the two of you, if that's true, if the number one customer complaint is that buyers and sellers believe they know more than their real estate agent, let's just thought exercise. That is true. Then go back to our foundation of being an expert advisor. Who do you have to become to be more knowledgeable than the AI driven consumer?
Yeah. I mean, the only pushback I'd have on that, John, is, you know, going back to when I was taking listings, and probably Jay, maybe you, I don't know, but they always thought that they knew more than us even then. And you know, that's part of why we use CHSA, is because part of the, I guess, the philosophy or thought behind it is one of our goals in order for them to not just sign with us, but then listen to us, is to establish authority. Meaning we have to establish the fact that they know that we know more than them, and that they don't believe that.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the goals. And I remember, like, I would know right off the bat, walk into a house and you got this guy who's the alpha, and he's just he's got to be the alpha. He's got to, you know, make sure that you know that he knows more than you. Like, he's got to make sure of it. And those are the ones, man, I was just like, fuck, man, I don't want to even take this one. Can I just move on? And it changed my demeanor in the moment. And then I had to step out of it. Like, all right, listen, this is just a test. This is God testing me right now. Let's go. Let me take this fool on. But it's different now. You're right, because AI didn't exist then.
Right.
And now they have these tools at their hands. So we have to get better. If you're not going to get better, they can literally go into ChatGPT, type in a prompt and get the whole report that we would be bringing to their doorstep, and they could get that on ChatGPT. So you're right. There's a new level.
Yeah, dude. Let me. This is why it is super interesting, dude. We should have an AI segment for every one of these episodes moving forward, because we're just advancing so fast. Like I literally, while we're on this call, I did this and did not know this was going to even be something to bring up on the call. But what we're doing with lead generation right now is when we take if we're going to run an ad for a property, I'm going to take the address of that property, the price point of that property, the amenities of that property. I'm going to upload it into ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, tell me the most likely buyer persona. And now ChatGPT is going to know who's moving here, why they're moving here, what are their biggest hopes, fears, desires, concerns, objections they may have. So I can create super relevant content for that most likely person that's going to click on this ad. This is everything that we're talking about. Is if you can just speak to that one person, they're 44 years old, they're married, dual income, their biggest number one concern is out-of-pocket expenses. Their number two concern is they have kids that are 6 and 7 that are going into an elementary school, and one of them has this or that. Like when you get that specific to who is the most likely, now there's going to be people that click on that aren't that exact profile, but the ones that are, and you put content in a follow-up sequence that's super relevant to it's like when they see it, they're like, oh my God, this guy, it's just like when we did the Teams presentation and people would call us and be like, I felt like you were in my living room listening to my conversation with my wife. When you can create content that specific, you can build trust instantly with someone where they're like, oh my gosh, this is the person I need to talk to. It's proof that you're knowledgeable about their biggest challenges and problems and things that they're trying to consider. And so like I run this through O3 Pro right now in ChatGPT, and it does think for a while on this one, but it'll spit it out here in a minute. But it's incredible what you can do with AI to become more relevant. And this again goes to not being for everybody. It's like, who's that most likely person that's going to be the one that clicks on this ad, and how am I communicating my expertise to them about what things that are going on inside their head and their challenges. Yeah. And so it's fascinating, bro. I would show you. And at the end, if we have a little extra time, I want to tell y'all what this is, because I'm about to blow y'all's fucking minds on what happened. I still can't believe it. And dude, it's crazy. Has nothing to do with real estate, but AI
before we go there, you said something that has always been the holy grail when it comes to marketing, right? And you nailed it. And I just want to put it into, where my brain processes third, fourth grade level. Right. and it's like, listen, what Jay's saying is that when you can market one-to-one personally relevant situation marketing, you have not been able to do it at scale until right now. Right now, you can go one-to-one marketing at scale. That's the holy grail. So listen, if y'all are not using AI to help you market one-to-one personally relevant, then you're utilizing it wrong, because otherwise you're just creating noise. And if you want to break through the noise, you got to be personally relevant, speaking to them and their situation, using the frameworks and everything else that we know to be true, the principles, everything out there. When you can dial that in, now you can go at scale one-to-one that you've never been able to do before.
Never been able to do. It's bananas. It's absolutely bananas. It's so fun too.
Without assuming everyone understands what you're talking about, can you just because when Jay was talking, I was thinking this is the exercise that 10 years ago, when we wanted to figure out our ICP, our ideal client profile, we had to go through this exercise.
And we guessed. But we guessed. Right? We had to guess. We had to guess who that person was. Yes. What ChatGPT can do is it's looking at migration patterns, and it's looking at where people are moving from, and it's looking at what job offers what companies have hired the most people. It's looking at so much data so quickly to things that we would never even, it would take us forever to do. And really zeroing in on, here's your profiles of the people. Now you can create content related to these people. Here are their concerns. Here's what they're thinking. Here's what would keep them from making the move. Like it's freaking nuts how good your content can be when it's laughable when I see people make content strategy is not, let me go shoot a bunch of videos and put them on YouTube and just see if the algorithm treats me fairly today. That's not a strategy. That's how people have been doing it 4 months ago and for a year prior. Today, you should be thinking completely different. Now we're generating leads at $3 to $5 cost per lead, very specific. And now we know how to talk to those people. We know, it's almost like we know who's going to be clicking on this. And you create different content when you do it. And so it's fascinating, man. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. But that doesn't change the fact that we have to get ahead of the fact that the tools are in their hands to do as much of the research as possible as well. Yeah. And so how can you answer, because if they know what their problems are, so you really got to think about what are the problems that they have that they don't know they have, and get even deeper into really helping communicate something of value. But it's so fast.
Because I love it. And Al, I see where you're going, right? The steps. I saw exactly where your brain was going. Okay, we're going to do this. We do this, and then it goes to the offer, right? What is the offer? What is the offer? I'll tell you one thing, guys, that I've noticed here lately with moving, travel across the country, events, and having to deal with a bunch of different companies, right? And even going on vacation and trying to do things, and somebody that even owns like 100% of the market of a certain thing, right? A certain service that they provide. The biggest thing that I've seen, guys, customer service is at an all-time low. It is the worst I have ever seen it, which also means it's one of the greatest opportunities. And so we were talking about coming, like in this particular market, had to deal with a particular service. And I'm like, they own the market, but you know how you can beat them? Just go out service them. Go think 2 or 3 steps ahead of what they're going to need preemptively. Oh, you're coming in from out of town. I know where you're coming from. Just like you said, the demographics, the migration patterns. I know what you're going to need when you get here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you, because that's what people want. People don't want to figure and do shit on their own. They want you to do it with them, or they want you to do it for them. And if you can just proactively get out ahead, like you were saying, cuz, to the point of, hey, I know what your next step is. You don't even know what your next problem is. I do, but I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. That's how you win.
Right.
And it's just bananas to see how complacent people have become in the service industry. They're going to get annihilated if they don't start changing the strategy.
Yeah, we're still at the very beginning stages of this AI. People they're not even getting into it as deep as when I tell this story about what ChatGPT did. It's going to blow y'all's minds. Like it blows my mind. My mind is still blown. It was thinking so far ahead of what mm-hmm. I was basically asking. I was like, how the hell?
I'm going to give you one more thought on this of how important this is, cuz, and then I want you to share that story.
Yeah.
So I had my coach Matt, who's been coaching me for the last 4 years. Al, I don't know when you came to KT, I don't know if Matt did a session. I know he did a session. I think he did a session the time after. And so Matt did a session, and he broke down emotional intelligence in a way that I've never understood the way he broke it down. I can't wait. I'll send you guys the recording. It's like, watch it, have your kids watch it. It's that important. And so Matt he's contracted by the U.S. Air Force. So he works with leadership. And so he went through his emotional intelligence EQL for leadership. So it's kind of the same presentation that he did for the U.S. Air Force leadership. And he's also the last 2 weeks, he's spoken to some of the Fortune 100 company leadership. They brought him in to talk through. And he said, listen, I can't get into specifics, but I'm going to tell you the number one topic they're all talking about. Everybody, leadership level, the U.S. Air Force. This is the number one thing they're talking about. AI. Everything they're talking about. AI. Everything. That is the number one topic in conversation. And so if y'all are listening to this and you've been sitting on the sidelines because you're one of the late adopters, you better get 100% in the game. You better be allocating, I would say, probably 10 hours a week to diving in, studying AI, being a part of it, using it, getting through different things. And that may be not even enough, honestly, guys, is that you've got to be that way. And if your team is not empowered and utilizing AI, you better get them empowered and utilizing AI. Because if not, it's moving so freaking fast, and I can't wait for you to tell me the story because it's probably going to blow me away.
Dude, it's nuts. I'm trying to find where this started, because this is one of those threads that goes miles deep. I'm talking, I've been in it for a minute, going deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I'm trying to figure the pickup point where it picks up on it. And so I'm taking rigs to the national and it's in Chicago, the National Card Convention. And Carruthers is still on here. He'll freaking love this story. He's a collector as well. And so I said, so I go online and I look at who the people that are signing are, because I want to take rigs, get a photo op, and get the autographs like we did last year. And I see that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be there. Well, he's never signed before. I didn't know that, but I learned that. So I said, we're going to get a photo opportunity of any item signed by Giannis Antetokounmpo. Could you find me something that would be more unique and valuable, since we're paying so much for the auto? I'd like to have something rare. Anything you could find that I could buy and get delivered and take there. Thinking game worn replica, championship trophy, rare art piece, something cool for the man cave, right? So it goes, here are 7 bring to Chicago pieces that are in hand, or buy it right now, score along, and then it gives it to me in a graph. By the way, I went into ChatGPT and I gave it all of my personality profile tests I've ever taken, which there was like 5 of them. So I put that into the directions to, when you give me information, give it to me like this. It gave me basically it told me things about how I want information that I could never have articulated. But I'm like, that's exactly what I would like it to look like. Like, it knows me better than I know me. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's giving me information now the way I like to see it, which is even more bonkers than anything. But so it goes in and it finds instantly. Dadgummit, I just scrolled back. Okay, here it is. So it goes and it finds, it gives me some options. Here's 7 bring to Chicago pieces, score on collectability. Once on it, Giannis adds his ink and are still realistic to ship before the national. So the first one, it says game worn 2023-24 icon jersey, photo matched, 48-point game, NBA auction, Sotheby's. Buy it now. You can click on it and buy it right now. True 101 provenance and already photo matched. Giannis's signature plus event inscription, the National 25, turns it into a 6-figure museum piece. Okay. So ships FedEx priority from Sotheby's within 48 hours. Clearly it did. Ask them to include the padded garment bag so you can hand carry it in your backpack. Okay. It's already thinking ahead of, like, you're going to have to pack it, take it there. It's saying, make sure they add the garment bag. So then it goes through this, how to decide maximum resale, conversation piece, budget friendly. And it's giving me options on all of this. Pro tips. Then it goes on. I did not ask for this. Okay. Keep in mind, I did not ask for this. Marker choice, bring a brand new silver Sharpie paint pen and an extra black deco color. Panini sometimes runs out. Prep the surface, inscription requests. Giannis usually adds 1 free inscription, 2021. So it gives me the 2 inscriptions I should get that would make it the most unique and most valuable if I ever wanted to sell it. It's an authentication loop. So it tells me directly where to go. It gives me the map of where to go immediately to get it authenticated, because it's a rare piece and you want to make sure you don't miss that step. So it's going through all of this with me, down to how to make sure the authentication is bulletproof. It gives me the process. Take all these, print them up, put them in a Ziploc bag. Right. I mean, the amount of detail that's in this. It is my entire game. Like, there's nothing missing. There's not one thing I could possibly have. You want to stay in this hotel because you can walk on the bridge from this, from the show to the hotel. I didn't ask about any of this stuff. It's given me every little detail of everything. And it did that in just a random question. I didn't even really give it hardly any context, but the 03 version thinks through, well, what all other things do you need to know that you ain't even thinking about? And there was a lot. And so then I went even a deeper rabbit hole than this, but just fascinating, right? Like, I bought this jersey for $12,000, never would have bought it, but it's it's probably a $60,000 to $100,000 jersey, depending on who you talk to or whatever. It basically gives you that range. But I was like, what a fucking cool thing. I never would have even done. I would have gone there and got something random signed, and it would have been worth what I paid the autograph for.
Yeah.
And so it's just mind blowing, like the things that you can get and how deep it's going into thinking about things you're not thinking about that you should be thinking about. And I know because I went last year, and all the things that it's telling me are things that I run into as problems at the last show. And so it just incredible.
That resonated a lot with me because I know literally nothing about cards, memorabilia, sports stuff. I appreciate the basketball you brought me. The Worm signed it. It's still my kid. I love it, right? But I don't know anything about it. So that what you just described is it eliminated the guesswork, which is what you said earlier when we were talking about how to identify your ICP, your ideal client profile. We guessed. And what you just described was it just removed the guesswork.
Certainty.
Not only was it eliminated the time that you would have spent to have to research all that stuff.
There's no way I could have done it.
You couldn't have done it. On top of that, now you became a better consumer.
Yeah. Oh, I became instantly smarter. Now, I got a buddy that buys game worn, tons of game worn stuff, big stuff like $10 million jerseys, Jordan jerseys, crazy stuff. And he lives in Puerto Rico. He's a good friend of me and Mike's, and we met him down there. He sold the most expensive baseball card ever, all this stuff. So I usually call him whenever I'm trying to do something. I'm like, what should I do? And he'll tell me. But he's got insider information because he knows all the buyers and sellers of all this stuff, and he knows what stuff trades for, and he knows who owns what. He knows how he has personally taken note of how much is on the market and how many times something's been signed, and he's been doing it on his own. It literally brought me to his level instantly, like literally to his level. I would have never had the balls to do it because I wouldn't have been confident in whether I was doing the right thing or not, like down to the Sharpie, what the inscription should say versus this versus that. You can't, when you go look for this very hard to find information, to be honest, and there's no central place for it, it's very difficult to be confident that you're doing the right thing and not screw it up. And so I probably would have never bought the jersey. And so it's fascinating to me how if you're not leveraging it at this kind of level, this is just a fun example, but there's so many ways to utilize this to,
but it's a very real example to what the consumers are doing, even in the real estate space, right? Like you telling that story, which, by the way, storytelling is only way to break through the noise. And you telling that story, and the consumers are going that path. Like as an agent, now I'm like, I'm putting my agent shoes on for a second, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, consumers are thinking that way about moving into a new market. Like, where do I step in? Where's my value?
I'm making my trip to Cleveland. I'm getting a job offer, and I want to know all the things that I should be thinking before I buy a home in Cleveland. What or whatever, right? Like, people ain't doing this yet, but they will. And when they do, you need to. I think right now we're in this space where I feel like every week I'm probably going to change. Like it's going to evolve so quickly that like the shit I told you to do last week, now you don't need to do that. You should do this. Yeah. So that's, I tune in every week because I think
when you were telling me that story, cuz my mind was going to The Future is Faster Than You Think from the book that came out. If you guys remember, that book came out in January of 2019 is when that book came out. No, excuse me. They wrote it in 2019. It came out in January of 2020. So it came out in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. But they in the opening chapter, they talk about the story, right? They talk about, why people would live in the rural areas. They can get here and they would, you'd get to the location, they're talking about flying cars and all that stuff. But essentially what it was is the Uber would be waiting on you by the time you stepped out of your hotel because it was in your calendar and it knew precisely how long it would take you to go down the elevator and walk to the front to where Uber would be waiting on you based upon traffic. And all it would do would be based upon what was in your calendar.
Yeah.
Like, holy
That's already
shit.
happening, bro. That's already happening. And I don't even know how, but they're figuring out what's in my calendar. You need to leave by this time, like little reminders that I didn't even set. It's already happening.
Yeah. It's freaking wild. Wild. Amazing. So with all that said, right, like thinking through that, and I know, Al, you had teed it up kind of with CHSA, and where my mind went is you better have a process, right? You better have a process that you can follow to be able to articulate. I think one of the things too that we're going to start to see is collaboration with the consumers. on a little bit more of okay, let's really look through your goals. You have an understanding of this, but let me give you some like boots on the ground, real feedback, right? Things that AI is not going to tell you. So I think there's some of that element that has to be layered in as well.
Yeah, I want to move into our last fiery thing, which was the whole lie that we've been told about standard commissions at 6% and all this other stuff that was shoved down everybody's throats because everyone believes everything they see on Facebook and headlines, and they just believe it. It's kind of dangerous when you think about it. And like, we were kind of raised in the internet stage of Google. Everyone's Googling everything. Hey, just Google it. Right now, it's all shifting to ChatGPT, and I believe it'll probably eliminate. Why would somebody even Google or Google something when they could just pop it into ChatGPT? But the thought that I was having before we go into this commission lie thing was the magic that can be created. Remember, Jay, I don't remember who we got on so many calls with our discovery calls, but remember, like, someone was just mentioning is like, I watched your webinar and I thought you were directly talking to me. Yeah. Oh my God. How many times have we heard that? We're like, it was like you were just talking to me. That's when you nail this ICP. That's how you know.
It's when you know. It's when you own the problem.
Yes.
I'm going to bring it full circle because it was up in my brain and I couldn't spit it out. But like, that's how we know we're winning.
Right.
More times that we hear, God, I felt like you were just talking to me in my situation. Like, that's why it's so important to identify that ICP and speak directly to that person.
Yep.
Not to the crowds, not to the masses. It's the people who are trying to speak to the masses that are losing right now because they're trying to be everything to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, great segment.
Check this out. Check this. So all right. So this one, the 03 Pro is still thinking. So I have no idea what it's going to come up with, but I want to share this example, right? So I put the property in here. We do, by the way, we do this in the back end when we're setting up everybody's stuff now. So like, this happens without you having to do it. So we do it for you. But so it goes through most likely buyer persona, life stage, move up or corporate relocation family, age 32 to 45, married, partnered, 1 to 3 school age kids, income, dual household income, tech, finance, healthcare, engineering, or corporate, HQ, leadership, current housing, own a 3-bedroom starter home in Plano, McKinney, the Colony, Carrollton, and have 150 to 250 of equity to roll forward. Renting in DFW after relocating and tired of bidding wars on resale homes. Origin markets within DFW, Plano, Frisco lead for Frisco ISD, Prestige, out-of-state relocations, California, Bay Area, Orange County, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, drawn by Toyota, JP Morgan, Keurig, Dr. Pepper, PGA, headquarters.
I can attest all of this by living there. So like I can validate everything that is going through here.
It's fucking spot on, right?
They just keep making it easier for us.
Look at this. Primary goals, hopes, top-rated ISD schools and kids' activities. Think about how this is going to roll into content.
Because think about how long it used to take us to do this.
Oh, dude.
We'd spend days. That was just to do this right here.
This is 25 seconds.
Decision triggers.
Yeah, decision triggers. Builder incentives, rate buy downs, closing cost credits, quick move-in availability, strong resale data, HOA amenities, commuting time to Legacy West, the Star, South Stone Yards, media habits, YouTube home tours, Facebook groups, Frisco moms, DFW new construction deals, LinkedIn, relocation groups, Instagram reels, and local lifestyle hotspots. Going through this whole thing, like with brand, with Holly does with branding, you go through like where does your ICP spend time? This tells you where they're spending time,
dude, and it's giving you the headlines to use,
right? The headlines, the bullet points, why it can, even the reason why. So it's not just telling you, hey, do this video. This is the reason why. It sets authority. It positions the 595 to 650K range as value versus median prices. So it's giving you everything, additional conversion tips, unlock equity calculator, relocation fast lane, all of these different things that you can bake into the content. And so how much better is this than how we did it?
Well, it's so much better, but I want to come full circle to even to Al's point earlier from the whole migration thing that we were talking about, and it comes back to values. So now, if you have certain values and alignment, now you can start using those keywords into your content and your copy. And now it goes chase versus attract, right? That's what we've been talking about for 2 decades. Now you're putting in these little keywords that align to your values, and you're attracting. So Al doesn't have to show up and deal with this knucklehead that he doesn't want to deal with. He's actually got somebody that values him and aligns in an alignment. Now he's having a great conversation, being able to go deep in a relationship and really being able to help these people, because then, right, it's just like what Jeff Woods talks about in the AI driven leader. When he went to Gary and said, I'm so proud, look what I did in my 90 days. Gary said, you have a shit product. And he said, how many of those people told somebody else to buy your product? The ultimate grail is raving fans, right? Creating somebody that will stop traffic. How many times were we talked about this all the time. We'd be out and we would hear somebody talk about real estate. Be like, what? Wait, hold, if you're going to do that, you got to use this. This helps you in that content because you're creating those raving fans that we all want. And that's the ultimate grail in the customer journey, right? Is out there. They're out promoting for us. Dude.
And you're going to be happy. You're just going to be a happier practitioner on top of it. You're going to make more money. You're going to be better. And everyone keeps talking about AI. It's just faster, speed. It's also faster and better.
Accurate, Al. Right to your point.
Yeah.
It's accurate.
That's so important because we would get surface level, and I think we think deeper than most people, but we would get surface level on some of this. Like, well, what jobs would they likely be? I don't know how many people Toyota's hiring. I have no idea. I know. I know Keurig's here, but I'm not thinking about that. Like, it goes so deep into super relevant information. We're having fun over here. I don't know about y'all.
I love it. I love when it goes in those directions and it's not planned, because that's actually, I feel like people, we get the most amount of feedback from,
right?
Because the truth is, we're just trying to interpret things. And, like when we talk about, well, if you're not an AI agent, you're going to be left behind. I never knew why. Like, okay, why? I'm a pretty good learner. I follow the instructions, do whatever.
Yeah.
It's because of this. Because there's no way to compete in that world when someone's using a tool like this to kick out not just faster, but more accurate information. It just puts you up here. Even if you're less skilled than this person over here, like this person could be like selling 3-4 times as many homes. They're better at a listing appointment, but and there's a lot of them. The dinosaurs, we got a lot of old school OG dinosaurs they don't even know how to check their email. They're gone. They're going to be eliminated.
Gone.
Now's the opportunity for you, the youth, 20-something, 30-something. You jump on this, you'll take them right out.
I want to wrap us up with this. So we were in Aspen. I don't know if it was 12 or 13. And I remember, was 13 one big fire, or was that 14? Was that a little bit later? It might've been the same. It might've been one big fire. Was that 15 was one big fire? So it was then. It was the same time. And I remember Reese kind of leaning over and he said, man, the greatest thing that we can do is change the way y'all think. And that really resonated because that's what we are world class at is challenging the way you think. And if you are thinking differently, thinking strategically, thinking bigger, and then now you're getting empowered by AI, nobody's going to stop you.
Yeah. Let's just dig in, since we teased everybody with it, is the big lie. And this kind of merges in there. It's that, since I can't remember from a coaching perspective, one of the biggest things people struggled with was, discounting their commission, coming down. They're going up against the big 800-pound gorilla agent in their marketplace. And the only thing they can think to do is drop their pants, i.e. drop their commission to try to that's their value proposition to beat that. And it simply doesn't work. It's a race to the bottom, as Jay, you've said a million times. And so it kind of lends into this story that was put out by BAM. And by the way, they did a great job of breaking this down, but we've been fed this narrative that there's been this standard commission, this whole, Catchmark lawsuit that was filed against NAR and against all the big brokers in the Sitzer Burnett lawsuit, excuse me, and said that, that there's this rate that everybody just kind of like colludes and goes by, and it's just so wrong. So one of the headlines was, never pay full 6% commission again. Now, first of all, where I'm from, where I came up in the 90s, what a full commission was considered, not colluded upon, but, the biggest brokers charged 7% back then. That's what I kind of grew up. That was the number, right? Then it's been, and only since the 90s, that rate is, and this is a fact, Jack, it's only come down, and it continues to come down. And why does it keep coming down? I think for, number one, technology. Number two, the fact that the prices of real estate have skyrocketed so high that it's allowed us to still come down and remain profitable. And when I say down, the average, so they basically are saying never pay 6%. Well, before this lawsuit was ever filed, in 2021, the average commission that was charged was 5.5%. After this lawsuit or settlement went through, it went down to 5.32%. And this year to date, it's at 5.44. It actually went up a tick from last year. Shocker. So, again, it kind of goes back to everybody just believing what they're seeing on CNN, what they're believing, what they're hearing on Fox. Everyone just believes it, whatever's kind of like feeding their narrative. And I believe we were fooled, bamboozled. The whole country was bamboozled by this false narrative that there's been the set commission when, there's rates. I mean, when before I met you guys, I was at a discount company that charged $595 to sell any home. Like that was our whole shtick, right? Like they've been all over the place for years. So to think that they're going to come in and fool everybody, the problem is that there's ChatGPT and there's this thing called a calculator. We could do our own math, and the math states that it hasn't been at 6% for maybe over a decade. So it's just funny that the media can play a role in changing our perspective on how we think, and why that's so dangerous is it changes our perspective on how we make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
We can think all quietly on our own, but when we're allowing certain media, whether it's a news article coming from Inman or wherever, or CNBC or wherever it's coming from, to just change our mind to the point where we're believing that without doing our own research, that's where things can get dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And before we came on, I was talking, I told Al, Jim Griffin came into KT, and his average is over 4% to him on the listing side. So he's been at 7% in his market for years. And he had one of the markets like we had in Stevens County, to where it was 2.4 was kind of the push, and they made a change to where at 2.5. So they got a lot of agents off his back because, he was, being able to do that. And it's just, it's confidence, it's knowledge, it's value, it's success rate. There's a lot of the variables in there, right? Like we just got, right. And it's just, in the absence of value, people always question price. And I think we're starting to see a lot of agents that haven't had to worry about value now have to, which then makes you more valuable. And, you're able to not, compete on price.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
What just kind of popped into my head is, and I know that, I think, John, you've kind of done some updating to the CHSA, but can you guys imagine the AI-driven certified expert advisor on the listing side, buyer side, the AI-driven? I mean, just thinking about like where it was and when you guys created it to what the 2025, 2026 version could look like AI-driven.
Yeah. The principles still align, right? I mean, the process is still the process. And I mean, there's things that speed and execution. There's then more collaboration that's able to be had with in the conversation, because now you'll be able to tailor their plan based upon their goals, right? Which is law number one, law of expertise. Asking the tough questions. What if it doesn't sell? Hey, what if we had a process that we could take you through to where we can guarantee it's going to sell for you, and let's collaborate on that together to where we can come with it. So there's some fun stuff that can be done. The principles are still the principles. I think collaboration is a lot more of a key with it now than what it was when we first created it, but you can take them step by step through the process. Hey, let's tailorize. Here's how we're different. Here's how we're going to differentiate your home. Let's take a look at that. So there's a lot of fun stuff that could be done, collaboration with AI.
Yeah, Dante, is it Coase? Dante Coase said,
"What's up, Dante?
What's up, Dante?" Yeah, he had a couple pretty good points here. When value exceeds price, people pay. No standard commissions. I agree, but he said a great book to read about the manipulation of media is "Trust Me, I'm Lying" by Ryan Holiday. What an amazing title to a book.
Yeah, that was his first book. That was Holiday's first book that he wrote out. That was before The Obstacle Is the Way. He wrote out "Trust Me, I'm Lying." That was his time at American Apparel. There's a new series that just dropped on American Apparel. I cannot wait to watch that. Just being a massive fan of Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't know about this book.
Yeah, that's his very first book. That's his very first one.
You read it?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I've read bits and pieces of it, but I've listened to him so much. I know all the stuff. He shares it on podcasts all the time. He shared all the things, the shenanigans, the downfall of American Apparel. Just it's a fascinating story. It really is.
Yep. And for those of you agents out there that, maybe you are struggling, with your marketing, your content strategy, and you definitely want to dig into these things. But start thinking about, go to honeybadgernation.com and check out that we do have a CHSA there. Talk to us about how getting a free membership. We can get you a free membership into our community so that you can learn these things. But going back to the whole commission standpoint, if you're struggling, feeling like you're needing to constantly reduce your commission to beat the big 800-pound gorilla in your marketplace, message us. Let us show you how we do it. Yeah, there's no need to do it. We have a way that we've been teaching since 2011, before AI even came out, on how you can raise your perceived value. You can't call yourself an expert unless you're an actual expert, and this is exactly what we've been coaching on for over a decade. We'd be delighted.
I want to give a little shout out to a honey badger as we wrap up. So one of our fellow lady honey badgers, Renee Velasquez, daughter, has a new little business that I want to give a little shout out for. She is in these custom bracelet business. And so we had KT coming up, and if you guys saw, Renee made a post last week, right? Her daughter with the bracelets and things like that. So I hit her up. I said, "Hey, can she get us some bracelets before KT?" She goes, "You do realize that's in 2 days." I said, "Can she do it?" And so typical honey badger fashion, they pulled it off. She said, what's the theme? And I said, "Hey, we're going with the man in the arena, because that's the only thing that matters right now. You can't be up on the sidelines. You got to be in the game." So she created these custom bracelets that say "man in the arena," and then it has the little KT on the back. So shout out to her. And I appreciate her, working tirelessly to put together last minute some bracelets. So if you guys are looking for some custom bracelets, hit Renee up, and they will over deliver as always.
Good stuff, boys.
Yeah, man.
Boys, that was fire. Appreciate y'all. One big fire is exactly what it is. honeybadgernation.com. Be on the lookout. Monday tickets go on sale. They are going to go fast. And Al, you're only doing 20 VIPs. Holy smokes, those will go fast. There's only 100 tickets. I might twist your arm a little bit, see if we can get 5 to 10 more. But 100 tickets and 20 VIPs. Cannot wait for that. We do have a couple already committed that are icons in the industry that will be there. So I am super excited for this year's Agent to CEO, as well as Rock the Spectrum event for your 10-year anniversary, brother.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate y'all. We'll see you.